Storytime. It was clear that a romance was blossoming between them. A romance lasting a lifetime. Storytime. She stared at the gown and thought, yes, this is something my husband would wear. Storytime. Little did this gumdrop know they would soon grow up to be a mighty princess.
I know.
Storytime. And that's when they became horribly lost.
Are we lost?
No.
He lied.
Stop it.
Storytime. The young man sat there drinking his grape juice.
Leave me alone. Leave me alone.
I am a
No.
god, Brandon. You will bend to my will!
Storytime.
The receptionist's dark secret was that the computers were only used for Minesweeper.
How did you know?
Storytime. Sadly, only one cookie remained in the store.
Sorry, boys. Daddy's getting that cookie.
Storytime. They enjoyed sleep so much, they often took naps in the street and could not get back up. Storytime. In every group of friends, there's the dumb one.
Really?
Storytime. Little did she know of the mysterious figure creeping up behind her. Storytime. After months of research, she concluded that in 50 years, all men would be extinct.
Storytime. He looked out of the field of beheaded warriors, and in his hands he held...
All men would be extinct.
Storytime. He looked out of the field of beheaded warriors, and in his hands he held the head of the Pumpkin King. He had won.
Storytime. The lad decided to do the honorable thing and share his treat with Mother. Oh, storytime. The ladies congregate here every day to scope out the hot dudes.
Yeah, we do.
Storytime. She had no clue she was about to run into a bridge that was nowhere near.
Storytime. With that curl, he knew he was now ready to beat up that kid Jimmy at school for stealing his milk.
Stupid Jimmy.
Storytime. They were having a lovely time, and then all of a sudden a duck flew above them, and it was beautiful and majestic.
Storytime. The man came to the bus stop every day to pick up hot chicks. Storytime. This was the moment the lad would propose to the girl.
No. No.
Storytime. She only had one plan for this new year. World domination.
Storytime. She heard that a kick would release a free movie. She heard wrong. Storytime. It became clear to them that one of them had let out a huge fart.
Storytime. She claimed to know all the information, but did not know how to heal my broken heart. Or did she? Storytime. One of these men forgot to check their flies. That man was me. These three were fine. Storytime. The two were models, and they loved to strut their stuff. Storytime. Into the bag he snuck looking for treasure.
He's looking for my candy.
Oh, but his plans were foiled. Storytime. On this blessed day, the two proclaimed their love. Oh, shoot, guys, okay?
Storytime. The girl loved smelling her phone. It filled her with delight. She sniffed once more.
Storytime. Suddenly, the two felt the urge to get up and dance.
And then the Vine guy joined him.
Woo! Yeah!
Storytime. It was common law that a flower be presented to the loveliest lass.
Well, and of course that's me.
Storytime.
Of all the works of art in this room, she was the loveliest.
Storytime. At last, the two came together for a tender kiss. Oh.
Storytime. She had been waiting her whole life for someone to sweep her off her feet. Storytime. It's been years, but their quest to spot the booty has remained fruitless.
Found it.
Here she comes, the queen, able to kill men with a single stare.
You better watch out, honey.
Storytime. The man's butt scratching was complete.
Dude, what?
It was delightful.
True.
What?
Storytime. Just like all the other flowers in this garden, she was just as exquisite.
Shut up.
Storytime. With this final bag, she had completely disposed of the body.
Oh, my cover.
Storytime. He ripped into the bagel ravenously as if tearing into the carcass of a dead gazelle.
Dude.
Storytime. She never even knew her shirt had a hole. Lot of style.
Storytime. The woman was alone, but she seemed to be haunted by ghosts of her past.
You're haunting me.
Storytime. The girl offered him a flyer, but he refused, but she gravely insisted.
Storytime. At last, the hero arrived to deliver peace and joy to this dark world. I have to pay him. I am so sorry. Storytime. He was a gracious soul, offering food to those in need. His kindness. Storytime. The man knew exactly what to do to embarrass his son. Story time. She waited every day with her arms outstretched for a hug, and she was about to get one. Story time. No matter how fast he ran, he could not escape the demon, but he would not let his soul be taken today.
Story time. The man was about to step on a snake! On a snake! But he missed it.
Story time.